You ask for more two-way, you get more two-way. It's two-way tonight, featuring Mark Halperin, introducing Mark Halperin, and with Mark Halperin, starring Mark Halperin as Mark Halperin. Thank you for joining. We've got great guests, great stuff to talk about, and as always, the great two-way community to be part of the conversation. If you're here on the two-way platform, raise your hand and get in. And let's get new people in. We had some great new people all week. If you've never raised your hand, show the courage, fortitude, and aptitude. So raise your electronic hand and get in. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, you can't be part of the conversation directly, but you can write stuff in the chat if it reflects the peace, love, and understanding ethos of this platform. And always the presumption of grace to everyone. We're going to try to get along. I continue to be bombarded by texts and emails from people saying on social media saying, talk more about January 6th and never talk about January 6th again. We'll see. It might come up tonight. There's a ton of news. It's the third full day of the Trump administration, and as was true with the other days, there's just I could tell you 50 stories. We could go 2 hours without talking to anybody but my running monologue and not cover everything that's actually important and interesting. So we've done our best to kind of aggregate, curate what some things we think you should know, some videos we think you should see. Then the guests will respond, and we'll be off to the races before we get to your questions. So thank you again for spending some time with us. Donald Trump talked twice today. Once we knew was going to happen, his speech to the good people in Davos electronically, and then once in the Oval Office, another one of the executive order signings and running press conference. Same dynamic as the first two. Just sit there, sign something, take questions. Although this time the questions were less pegged to the individual orders. Big executive order on AI. David Sachs, the prominent podcaster and technologist and investor, was there, and he's the man in charge, at least for now, in dealing with these very complicated and important decisions about AI. The one that's getting the most attention is the full disclassification of the JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King Jr. files. They're not released tonight. It'll be at least a couple weeks. There's a process laid out in the executive order for that, but that's getting a lot of attention. So I'll show you some sound from both events, both his address in Davos, as well as the Oval Office address, and we'll talk about it. On Capitol Hill, the confirmations of the Trump nominees is still a big story. Donnie Radcliffe, the star of the Harry Potter films, was confirmed as secretary. Oh, wait, I'm being told it's not Donnie Radcliffe, it's John Radcliffe. John Radcliffe, former congressman from Texas, was confirmed as the head of the CIA, 74-25. So not the Rubio 99-0, but not 53-47. So some number of Democrats, it's, not quite half of the Democrats voted to confirm him. On Pete Hegseth, there was a procedural vote to allow the nomination process to go forward, and 2 Republicans voted no, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. It had widely been assumed that they would vote no, but they hadn't said so. They'd been basically publicly undecided. They both put out long statements explaining their vote and similar reasoning, and nothing surprising there. If you followed this, they have concerns about his experience, concerns about some of the accusations against him, and to some of the things he's acknowledged both in his personal life and professional life. Some senators, like Senator Tillis of North Carolina, voted yes on the procedural vote, but Tillis himself publicly making it clear he's undecided on the final passage. So he could go down. If McConnell and Tillis vote no, he's not going to be confirmed. So we're continuing to watch that. Continues to be a lot of speculation about Kennedy, whose confirmation hearing was set for next week, finally, and Tulsi Gabbard, but no developments there. It's significant because, as the Trump people pointed out in December, when they were making the case that Hegseth was going to be confirmed, it's very rare for a senator of the president's party to vote on the floor against a nominee of that president. Hasn't happened very often lately. So we'll see what happens there. I told you this morning that we were going to look at the press conferences of Chuck Schumer and Congressman Jeffries. We looked at them. Not much happened in those. There's still a lot of discussion about whether the Democrats are going to negotiate on immigration, whether they negotiate on the debt ceiling, whether they're willing to negotiate over the aid to Southern California. Once again, as he has in the past, Congressman Jeffries, Leader Jeffries, said, no, we're not interested in helping you raise the debt ceiling in exchange for aid to California. So, oh, one more news item. The Seattle federal judge, a Reagan appointee, a Reagan nominee, who had the first case testing the birthright citizenship executive order's validity, as expected, because everybody thinks every judge and justice who looks at this is going to say it's not consistent with the Constitution. He expressed great skepticism about this executive order's viability. He did a 2 week, what do you call that thing? Temporary restraining order. Thank you. 2 week temporary restraining order, although it doesn't go into effect, I think, for 4 weeks or so. So there'll be more arguments. But he said he doubts that the plaintiffs will fail, that he'll doubt that the administration will succeed on the merits. But, it's a whole long process. There'll be arguments there. In all likelihood, there'll be stays until it gets to the Supreme Court, would be my guess. Because to not stay it would be to create a lot of confusion for human beings, and they try to stay away from doing that. And all the judges and justices almost certainly are going to, in the back of their mind or towards the middle of their mind, are going to say, this will eventually be struck down, so we shouldn't rule anything that allows it to have an adverse impact on folks. All right. Let me just make sure I haven't skipped anything, except a bunch of videos that we're going to play for our guests. The Associated Press said they will call it Mount McKinley as opposed to Denali, which is what Donald Trump wanted, but they're not going to call it the Gulf of America. They made that decision. Can't tell you why. Oh, well, we'll talk about it with our guests. One other thing involving everybody's favorite topic, Elon Musk. Remember, if you are here on the two-way platform and you want to get in on the conversation, please raise your electronic hand. Bring in our guests. People do it like the newlywed game or the dating game. He likes going to the Diplomat, eating pistachios and long walks on warm beaches. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Gorman.
Good
Matt,
evening.
welcome.
Good to see you.
Are any of those things true? Do you ever go to that restaurant, Le Diplomat? Is that what it's
Oh,
called?
it's a little overrated. I don't like
Yeah.
pistachios, but I
You
did
don't. All
just
right.
get a new puppy, and she's in the other room
Oh,
crying her ass off right now.
really? What kind of puppy?
A golden retriever. So
And we're not even going to get a glimpse?
she's in the crate right now. She'd go ham for an hour.
Yeah.
So maybe like
Okay.
6:50, I'll bring her out. That's okay.
All right. Introducing Dan Turrentine. He lives on the Upper West Side of New York. He likes parenting and not parenting, all vintages of wines, and the smile as big as Mount Everest. Dan Turrentine. Dan, welcome in.
Thank you, Mark. Mark, Minetta Tavern is the place this week in DC now. La Dip
Oh, they
is,
opened a Minetta Tavern?
yeah,
Where are
they
getting their-
did. Yep,
where
in
are they-
Union Market. It's it
where
place.
where is it?
Union Market.
Union Market. I don't know. Where is Union Market?
It's
Oh.
it's way the fuck up there. Yeah, it's
No, I mean, is it in DC? Is it on Capitol Hill?
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's north of the hill, like
North of the hill?
yeah.
I
You you
don't even
would
know
you
what
would
that
not have
means.
gone there 20 years ago. You
No.
would go
Okay.
there now.
And
You'd gotten
finally,
mugged.
finally, bachelor number 3, Mark Caputo. He likes controversy and
First to set off
uh,
shit, last to run. How about that?
changing jobs with the frequency of Larry Brown, as I said in the past. And you like pistachios, right? Gorman doesn't. You do.
Oh, I do. I'm a big fan. Oh, and look who's just joined us.
oh
Peanut,
And
Peanut the Dachshund.
Peanut the
Look at
Dachshund.
that. Boom, boom. He ate a palm tree nut and had to get $6,000 surgery, motherfucker. So, pardon my French. Like first day on the job, January 6th, first day on the job at
Yeah.
Axios. Dog is not eating. I'm like, oh my God, I know exactly what happened. $6,000 later, he's still alive. But I got to tell you, son, if it happens again, we're going to turn you into a stuffed animal.
Do you have dog insurance, health insurance, or it's all out of
It
pocket?
turns out we should have that. I thought, because I'm
Yeah.
a believer that insurance generally is a scam.
Yeah.
It's not with this.
no.
Yeah. And Dan,
No.
you have a dog too, right?
Oh, we have a COVID dog. Yep, absolutely.
All right.
No one walks her but me.
Yeah. We may do a pet vertical here on two-way because that works for everybody. Gentlemen, couldn't be more grateful to you all joining. I'm now once again the most overdressed. I forgot that the evening show is basically pajamas only. So thank you for being here. All right, let's go around the horn. Dan gets to weigh in regularly in the mornings, but one word to describe the Trump administration to date. One word, Mark.
Badass.
Badass. Matt Gorman.
Confident.
Confident. Dan.
Solid.
Bzz. The correct answer we were looking for was eventful. Eventful.
The
Okay.
question is moot.
Yeah. All right. I could pick through this stuff in any order. Let's just start with Lisa Murkowski. I want to show you again. She put out a long statement explaining her vote. I want to show you a little video from Capitol Hill. Most of you know this. If you cover the White House, particularly post 9/11, post COVID, you can't just walk around. You got to be escorted everywhere. If you have a meeting with somebody, you finish the meeting, they escort you right back to the press area. Capitol Hill is a free for all. Even now, if you say today, you go up there with like a checklist and say, I want to talk to Congressman X, Senator Y, and ask them questions as a reporter, chances are you can do it. There's ways they can avoid it, but most of them don't. Wide open place. So poor Lisa Murkowski was subjected to this. Please roll number 2.
Vote this afternoon.
Yes.
On Hegseth.
Yes. There is a big vote this afternoon, or the initial vote on Hegseth this afternoon, and you will see my vote when I go to the chamber.
Do you have concerns about still?
Yes.
You do. What are those concerns?
I will articulate those later, and
All right,
have a
enough of
full
it. You
meeting.
get the point.
You feel like you've
So,
got enough.
guys, and we'll start with you, Matt. Why do this? Like, her life's gonna be miserable. If you go on social media now, all the main MAGA people are saying we're gonna primary her. Her career's over. She voted for the Biden nominees. She won't vote for Trump's. Why would Lisa Murkowski bring this on herself?
She doesn't care anymore. I think. I mean, we forget about it. But what year was it? Was it 2010? The Joe Miller write-in primary. What was that?
Yeah,
Sounds about
it was
right.
Murkowski.
Yeah.
And they told
But-
people how to write it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pencils and bracelets, I believe.
Fantastic, dude. Yeah.
Staring
really good
staring into political death and surviving
Yeah.
gives you a newborn sense of confidence and freedom, right? Any other Republican in Alaska should be shaking in their boots. I mean, look at Dan Sullivan, right? It's never been a question whether Dan Sullivan's going to vote for PX or not, right? But being able to survive that made her more outspoken, right? One of the more shocking ones I ever saw was Kavanaugh, right? Even when she didn't have to be the no vote. Collins was the one that was always a swing vote. She took the brunt and voted no. So I think it's the fact that we talk about confidence. She stared political death, survived it, and now it's an afterthought. So she doesn't really care anymore.
So, Mark, Trump was asked about Collins and Murkowski voting no on the procedural vote and making it clear they're voting no on the floor, and he kind of sloughed it off. He kind of was like, "That's expected, whatever."
Yeah.
Will he eventually take out after them, or he'll leave that to his henchmen and women?
I have a general policy of not trying to forecast the actions of the unpredictable Donald Trump.
Yeah,
So how about yes and no?
yeah, okay. Dan, game this out with me. It seems to me like Tillerson and McConnell could vote no. So maybe they don't tip their hand until the floor vote, and then they pull a John McCain and they go out and they do this, and then it's over, right?
I keep having the image of John McCain doing just that and thinking it would be Mitch McConnell like starting this new Congress, the new presidency off with a real, FU. I don't know. I mean, I was wondering if they would do it today, but they obviously have remained mum. I don't believe McConnell has said anything other than just he's still waiting for information. So I agree with everybody. I mean, I think Murkowski, look, she was a thorn in his side in the first term, and she's still here, And so if you're going to take her out, how many times can you threaten it and not do it?
And
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
The Trump-Collins relationship, to the extent there is one, I'm not saying there's like a friendship here, but Trump seems to understand where Collins comes from in a lot of respects. Like you look, there's reactionary stuff online, yes, but the smart Trump people know that you're never going to get another Republican for that seat, and so there's all. I remember having this argument with a Collins person early in the term, and I like when Trump was first elected in 2017, and I'm like, what's going to happen when it's healthcare reform and he gets on the phone and comes after you? And they weren't really that worried, and I could kind of see why now. He understands Collins in a different league than say Murkowski, McConnell, and others.
I gotta say, the thing about this Trump 47, I do think is more adept at the process. And I'm not saying he won't make a mistake. I'm not saying he won't go after these people, but I do think that both on the staff side and on the principal side, they are more tactical, they are more strategic. I think he understands, like, I can imagine that he knows that throwing gasoline on this is not going to be very effective.
Yeah. All right, you guys give me thumbs up or thumbs down on this, and it kind of plays off of what Matt just said. Thumbs up or thumbs down, agree, disagree. Collins, when she disappoints the base, disappoints a Republican president or Republican leader, kind of does it reluctantly, seemingly, like agonizingly. Murkowski seems to sometimes seem like she's enjoying it, right? Like she's doing it, right? Yeah, thumbs up from one person. You guys, other guys agree with me or no?
Yes.
All right, Mark, I want three
I'm not
thumbs up.
sure if I'm gonna go
Sideways?
like this. I'm
Okay.
not sure about Collins,
all right.
whether that's an act.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, of course. Do you guys? But at least she doesn't.
Democrats would tell you
she
it's an
doesn't
act
stick
for
in the
20
shit.
years.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned. Very
Yeah.
concerned. You know.
Yeah. All right. I'll leave it up to you guys. Vote. Show of hands. Do you want to do Davos sound bites next, or executive order press conference? Who wants to do Davos? EO.
Yeah,
EO. All right. Let's do
Fuck
EO.
Davos,
All right.
You know.
All right. So executive order thing. JFK thing. He's just, he's so into it. And I don't know why he's into it. He loves being part of history things. He's obsessed with history. But I don't know what's in this stuff. Nobody does. But let's play number 3 and watch for the little Bobby Kennedy Jr. reference at the end.
Ordering the declassification of files relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years,
So Trump.
for decades.
Big one. Part of history, ladies and gentlemen. Decades.
And everything will be revealed.
It's like a reality show. Now watch this.
Okay.
Watch when he holds the thing. Watch him hold the thing up like it's like a show and
Give
tell.
that to RFK Jr.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Peak Trump. All right, guys, everybody, this is going to be like opening the Capone vault, right? This thing's going to be like
No, it's actually
bated
going to
breath.
probably have some stuff in it at least.
Yeah. I didn't mean the Capone vault in terms of anticlimax necessarily. I just meant in terms of the anticipation. How do you think Trump will want this revealed? Will he do an event or will it just get posted online? What do you think?
Ooh.
Right?
Oh, I think this screams the New York Post.
Leaked to the New York Post?
Yes.
See, I think he might do an event with like charts, like blow ups of things.
Back and to the left. Back.
Yeah,
and-
exactly. Exactly. I don't know. Mark, what do you think?
I
Just
don't
put
know,
online?
but what I do know, without betraying confidence, is that Trump staff says it's going to be at least 14 days because they want to meet with CIA and look at the stuff to see what there is, and that's his press staff. So there is stuff in there still. In 2021, I wrote about this for Politico a few times. Then at NBC in 2022. I was going to write about it in 2023, but it didn't work out. So I've been actually kind of very interested for a while in the JFK
So Mark,
files.
let me ask you, how many pages of stuff is either completely unreleased or redacted? Like, are we talking about
I would have to go
thousands
through my old
but
reporting.
is it thousands of words, thousands of pages?
Thousands of words. It could be on the order that, like, it depends on what you define as a record, right? Like, some records are very small and some are very big. Some records are entire documents, some are not. And so there's different definitions of those things. There is some stuff in there that is going to shed more light on the CIA's contacts with Lee Harvey Oswald before the assassination, both in New Orleans, where Oswald came into contact with a CIA front group that may have sort of recruited him, and it was run by a very shady guy from my home, Miami, George Joannides, and who was running this whole operation. And there is some evidence that Joannides was in charge of the anti-Castro stuff. So you see where that conspiracy theory comes from. And this is the one conspiracy theory where the conspiracy might be true. We don't know what it is. The experts I've spoken to who are not insane generally agree or believe that if there was CIA involvement with criminal knowledge or knowledge that Lee Harvey Oswald was going to assassinate JFK, that they were rogue agents, but don't underestimate
agents.
that there could have been
Yeah.
involved.
So
Also,
yeah.
to be clear, everything in the JFK files is probably not telling the entire story. There are other records that are not there. In 1992, the JFK Records Act was passed as a result of the movie by Oliver Stone. And this is a great example of fantastic PR management by the CIA, because what the CIA did before the JFK Records Act was passed is it convinced everyone this guy was just a lone kooky gunman. After the Records Act was passed, over time, we discovered just how much the CIA was involved in suppressing information and misleading Congress. Sorry to sound like I got a tinfoil hat, but some really shady shit happened there.
Well, go ahead, Matt.
No, I mean, look, it's not every day that Donald Trump can make Rob Reiner happy. Rob Reiner is an amateur JFK sleuth, did a big podcast on this last year. Joe Needy's came up a lot. I would love to see his reaction right now.
Yeah. So two things. One is you're confirming, Mark, with your expertise, what I suspected, which is the JFK files are only going to make the conspiracy theorists go crazier. It's not going to settle them down. I'm amazed at how little commentary there is, and I contributed to it by talking about JFK here. The RFK files and the King files could be more compelling because there's plenty of storylines there. CNN just is breaking that the settlement that Pete Hegseth paid to the accuser of
50 grand.
Alleged sexual assault, 50 grand. Did they break that story or no?
They may have, but
AP broke it.
I gotta say, man, like, this is a great example of how I hate the way in which we as the media cover things. Because this is a very complicated case, and so far the only person who's really sort of done it from a holistic point of view, although she has a very strong opinion, is Megyn Kelly. But when you read the police report about the case involving the woman who made the accusation, you just read the police report. A few things are clear. One, Pete Hegseth is shit-faced. And two, the woman isn't. Three, she decides to go to his hotel room late at night while she appears sober to everyone and he's drunk. You know, four, she goes back to her husband's hotel room where her husband is there, and he says she doesn't seem drunk. And then five, like a few days later, she's like, oh, I was sexually assaulted. And her version of events concerning her sobriety don't match up with the observations of her own husband. And this is why the police didn't charge. And then you see the headline or the lead of the AP story, he paid 50 grand to settle with woman who accused him of sex assault. Well, yeah, he did pay that money to shut her up because he was at Fox. It's the Me Too era. And that's just money he had to pay. This guy was making millions of dollars. I'm not saying Pete Hegseth is an angel. And I'm not saying this stuff shouldn't be covered. It should. But very often the way we write about these things, and in this case, I don't think it does justice to the facts at hand. And it's a difficult
100%.
thing to write about because there are a lot of critics out there who instantly call us like pro-rape for saying stuff like that.
100% agree.
Man,
100%
sorry, I didn't mean to
agree
go on a rant.
Yeah,
I
100%
probably
agree
shouldn't
with
be
you.
talking.
I want to move on because I want to show some of the Davos.
Sorry.
And
I
it's all right.
apologize.
All good. No need to apologize. I want to show some of the Davos. So Trump was introduced, and it was a little bit awkward because he was standing at the lectern remote, but his image was on this giant screens. The guy head of the Davos introduced him. That finally, longer introduction than I think Trump was expecting from my looking at Trump's face. Trump then spoke. Then he took questions from a bunch of elites. If I were to summarize Trump's performance, it was just one giant troll. Okay, the whole thing was trolling everybody, at home and abroad. So I want to show you some of it because it's compelling. First, number 7. This is just like 1 minute of overall trolling elites in Europe and the U.S.
Aid freeze, and I created the new Department of Government Efficiency. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord, and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy. I declared a national energy emergency, and it's so important, national energy emergency to unlock the liquid gold under our feet and pave the way for rapid approvals of new energy infrastructure. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it. Not only will this reduce the cost of virtually all goods and
Get out of this one.
services, it'll make the United States a manufacturing.
I want to play another one, number 6. Cue that up, please. So he also, this is to me the sort of the money section where he's basically saying to private sector companies, come build your stuff, do your business in the U.S., or we're going to tariff you to ruin. Play that one, please, number 6.
My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff, differing amounts, but a tariff which will direct hundreds of billions of dollars and even trillions of dollars into our treasury to strengthen our economy and pay down debt.
All right. Lastly, I want to show you from Davos. One of the people who was there was Brian Moynihan, the longtime CEO, chair, I don't know which he is now, CEO or chair, the head of Bank of America. And one big issue, and you hear this from Trump people, it doesn't get covered very much, maybe for obvious reasons, is debanking. A lot of MAGA people, elites and rank and file folks have been debanked. They're just not allowed to bank at Bank of America. And it's very hard to operate as a business person or just as a person if you can't, have a connection to a bank. So here, listen to Donald Trump trolling Brian Moynihan, who's in the audience there in Davos.
By the way, speaking of you, and you've done a fantastic job, but I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives, because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank, and that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business. And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives, because what you're doing is wrong.
All right, Matt, what? Yeah. Brian Moynihan changed the subject to soccer. By the way, before I ask you guys what you thought of that Trump performance, the other thing he mentioned, which people have written about, it's super important. During Trump's term, it'll be the 250th anniversary of the United States, the World Cup in the U.S., and the Olympics in the U.S. And he mentioned that, and he talked about that. And again, he loves cinematic narrative arcs in which he is the star. And those 3 things, he just couldn't be happier because they're bigly big. Matt, what do you think of the performance at Davos? What strikes you, stands out to you?
And if Governor Kamala Harris is in LA when the Olympics happen, so that's also number 2. But anyway, I thought it was great. It's funny, like the populist president going to Davos, but I will say this. You guys probably hear this too. I deal a lot with businesses, especially after November. C-suites are scared shitless of Trump. They really are. And more importantly, they have no idea how to talk to half the country. They're so used to, they adjusted because their workforce is still kind of from 2020, their DEI stuff. So what I noticed very quickly was immediately Bank of America had a graphic up that they tweeted out from their account. We don't, discriminate, blah, blah, blah. I can only imagine the panic conference call that the comms team, marketing team, legal, all got on immediately after Trump went. And I know the White House loves that. They love that power.
Yeah.
And JP Morgan put out a very similar statement.
Yeah. People, the Journal and the New York Times have led the way in writing pieces about what you're talking about, Matt, and we've talked about it on these shows. But it's a massive story. They have billions of dollars at stake. They recognize now that their liberal employees and their liberal customers are going to have to take a back seat because for survival and market share, they're just going to have to switch. I mean, the cancellation of the DEI in the private sector before Trump did it is a massive story. And as Matt suggested, it's not being done on a whim. These are endless meetings with all the departments, you know, legal, PR, investor relations, HR. Like, how can we get right with Trump? And it is going to be a 4-year story, certainly for the next year, especially. Mark, thoughts on the Davos, Florida man becoming Davos man?
Well, he did mail it in, right? He didn't actually go to Davos.
Yeah.
So that's just sort of a gimme for him.
He's busy. He's busy. It's busy.
Yeah,
time.
he's doing things. He's canceling DEI and he's calling Bank of America out on a carpet. You know.
Yeah.
Can't think of a better. Well, I'm not going to say that. I don't want to get in trouble.
Any thoughts on
his
any thoughts on his performance?
Not. I mean, I think what you said is accurate. That this is Trump's sort of troll in chief.
Yeah.
Trump is perhaps in the most powerful position, politically speaking, he's ever been.
Yeah.
This might be the zenith.
Yep.
We'll see.
Yeah. Dan.
Yeah, it was classic, you know, Trump. He just was boasting about everything. Thought it was interesting that for the first time, it's only been 3 days, he took a shot at the Fed to start saying that he wants interest rates lower. You know, it's been lost here this week, but inflation's remaining a little high. There's a story in lots of papers about the price of eggs, largely due to the bird flu. But, you know, unlike his first term, where he kind of wanted interest rates low and the economy was running and there was no inflation, it's a different dynamic now. And so it's kind of going to be worth watching whether he starts to get frustrated as the Fed tries to kind of keep that plane landing of inflation coming down without tanking the economy. But you could sense a little frustration. I will also just say, because I see in the chat, the attack on B of A, I believe, had to do with they withdrew from servicing companies that sold guns going back to his first term. And B of A has since loosened that a little. But that was the crux, because I was wondering, did they screw him like 20 years ago on a deal?
No. It's part of it, but I can tell you
probably
there's tons of MAGA people who have been debanked, including by Bank of America. It's not just the guns.
Got it.
And Trump, and they talk to Trump about it all the time, and they talked about it over the last 4 years, and they talked about it in the transition, like, what can we do? And so there he is, jawboning. You know, look, could Clinton, Bush, Obama, or Biden before his decline have done that? You know, gone there, treated them that way? Yeah, but they wouldn't have. I mean, it's not just a swagger. He knows a lot of them. He's a billionaire, right? So he's not uncomfortable. He's not as there are people at Davos richer than him, but if he went to Davos, he'd be amongst the richest. And it's just a different way of relating to them. He's not intimidated by them, and yet he respects them. You know, he's in a different place now than he was before. As you guys have said, he's at the zenith of his power, and he feels it, and he knows what to say to him. And he's, you know, again, just go back to authenticity. Like that, that's not like phony. That's Trump.
And Mark, he went in his first term, right? I believe he went to Davos one of the years and was like a kid in a candy store, like looking around at everybody. To your point, now he's like the boss of it.
And now he's like, was it on Inauguration Day or Inauguration Eve? He's like, he's doing shitcoin rug pulls, making maybe $1 billion.
Right. Right.
I mean, I'm going to put aside the ethics of it. That's what I'm talking about. It's kind of badass to do that. I mean, my God, he's just like, boom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just made $1 billion. Like, what? Now I'm going to be president, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, that's peanut barking in the background. I apologize.
That's all right. Matt, what were you going to say?
No, that's exactly it. I think exactly what you guys said. As I go to my first point, it's a man who's confident.
Yeah. All right.
But I agree with Mark. This may be the apex.
One more thing. Another thing that came up in the Oval Office press conference was a reporter asked if Trump minded Elon Musk on X trashing Trump's big announcement about AI. What is it called? Starlight? Is that what it's called?
Stargate.
Stargate. Thank you. I knew it wasn't Starlight. Stargate. And if you think about it, it's nuts, right? On the one hand, Elon Musk is going to Musk, and no one should be surprised. On the other hand, he's been given extraordinary access to the president. He's very involved in things, including in the AI decisions. And so it's nuts that he did it. Trump was asked about it. He played it down, just like he played down Murkowski and Collins. But there's a Politico story that ran a little while ago about, I think we have the headline. Do we have that headline? Did I make that up?
No, it claims that White House staffers are furious.
Furious. Yeah, we have that. Number 8. Here it is. It says White House staffers. And of course, we know that Steve Bannon is very public about trashing Musk, which is also, again, not normal. It'd be like, if Anita Dunn were publicly criticizing Ron Klain. I mean, it's just,
Well, do me a favor, read the top of that NBC story, or better said, that Politico story, and then think about Steve Bannon again.
Because
That's
he's the White House. He's the White House. He's the Trump staff who's furious.
He's not the Trump staff. There's 3 sources in there.
Yeah.
But there's a person there who's obviously Bannon.
Yeah, of course. But there are others. So I've been more bullish on Bannon's Musk staying power than some people.
Yeah. I agree.
Because I think Trump just doesn't care. Trump likes this stuff. Certainly he tolerates it. But any of you have a view of whether this is a seminal moment or no?
No. Well, the White House staff is telling me it's bullshit. I think there's some truth in between. I totally trust Dasha Burns and Holly Otterbein, who wrote this story. So I do believe when they say there was a person in the Trump staff who said that Musk got over his skis.
Yeah.
I think that's true. Others describe them as furious, not so sure. But to your point, the relationship between Musk and Trump appears stronger than a lot of people forecast.
I think you're right. And people try to play like the co-president line, or they try to do things that in a very transparent way would try to get under Trump's skin, and it is not, for a various number of reasons. I think you're absolutely right, Mark. This is stronger than it's ever been. If this does ever peter out, I think it's more from just Elon kind of getting bored, and I don't foresee that in anytime soon. But more, there's no good. I don't foresee right now some sort of massive rupture, jealousy, BS.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah. Okay. Does that? Go ahead, Dan.
The one thing there is an opening potentially for Democrats. I mean, when the whole TikTok thing was going on, Musk made the comment in some interview that was like, well, if they would allow X, more access in China. Here he's trashing the AI investment. When he speaks about his own self-interest, I think there is an opportunity, particularly because there's a worry that one of the reasons he's doing DOGE is to get insights into federal agencies and their inner workings for his own business dealings. Like, the whole mantra of Silicon Valley is, if there isn't a conflict of interest, I don't want to invest in it. And so as he starts to get further and further in, watch for Democrats to start driving a wedge. He's for him, not for you.
Yeah.
And that, by the way, will piss Trump off.
Right.
Because
yes,
it's like,
that's the one thing Trump cares
causing
Generally, the thing that Trump hates the most is when
people
someone's
making money
off of him.
Yes.
So the question is he going to be mad at Musk for sort of making money off of government?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Does do you guys, is the phrase "over the skis" is that used anywhere but politics? I don't remember.
Wow, that's a good question.
I only remember hearing it in politics. Like, would somebody say it about like some professor who, in the faculty lounge did something?
Who else gets over their skis?
I once had a girlfriend tell me I got out over my skis. I won't reference why, but
okay, all right. Well, then I'm wrong. It's not just politics. Apparently, it's dating.
Was she in politics though?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was too confident.
All right. All right. The answer is no, not just politics. All right. Was she a big skier? All right. Let's go to your questions again. If you'd like to be in the conversation, please raise your electronic hand. New people, not just welcome, encouraged. All right. Dana, tell people where you are, who don't know, and what's on your mind.
I'm in Los Gatos, California. And
that translates into the Gatos, by the way.
The Gatos, the cats, and I live in the mountains here, and trust me, I see a lot of big cats out here.
Yeah.
Oh,
awesome.
man.
Thrilled to be on today. By the way, Dan, I'm a hockey player, so we always said skate your lane, not over the skis. But
there we go. Originally from Boston, I assume.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
I saw the Warriors this week, and it was a beatdown. It was good, clean fun. Listen, I usually have a question to ask. This is my first time live. Actually, I'm just going to add an anecdote because what Matt said really resonated with me. I'm a Silicon Valley executive in the semiconductor industry. So I'm one of those C-suite guys. But for the audience to understand what he said rather quickly, our company got purchased by a European company. So it was a $7 billion company buying a $2 billion company during the George Floyd thing. And they had a big meeting on the weekend. Apparently, they worked all weekend to craft this memo in response to the George Floyd incident. And because it was a new culture that they had just purchased, they wanted our take on the memo that they were going to send to all the employees. And so they called 3 of the executives in. We know the culture of the new company. What do you think of the memo? I'm going to make an extremely long story short. We could not, for the life of us, figure out the purpose of the memo. And they wouldn't really admit the truth, but it took about an hour and a half of precision questioning and answering to get to the truth. And the answer was, they just wanted to issue a memo without saying anything. They didn't want to offend anybody, right, left, center, far left. The purpose of the memo was to say, we could issue a memo and not say anything. Check the box. And it took 1.5 hours of painstaking question. And at the end, we said, even though you're not.
I got to tell you, if it only took an hour and a half, you got off lucky. I know a lot of corporate
folks and
nonprofit folks who spent 5 days trying to deal with it. So.
Well, I have to tack on the extra hour of HR training that I had to get after the meeting as I got sent to the penalty box.
I'm not minimizing your story at all. I want you to finish. I'm just saying, I know people who spend many days on this exact topic, but go ahead, please.
Yeah, no. So I just wanted to add color to. Yeah, it's going to be extremely interesting to see how the whole world reacts, the business world reacts to the culture shift or not.
How do people in your?
I'm disappointed that you didn't give a stolen land acknowledgement when you began your speech here. I'm really not happy with that. You know,
how do people in your world feel about Sachs and the others who are in DC sit with seats at the table? Do you feel you're represented, or do you feel like, crap, the other team has got a leg up on us?
It's mixed. I mean, the people in from my side of the town want to stay as far away from Washington, D.C. as possible. We don't want help. We don't want your money. We just want to compete in the marketplace. And that's what drives innovation. And so, I don't know, the people I hang with tend to stay very far away from it.
Are you a Trump voter?
I am a Trump voter. Yeah.
How many times?
3 times. And this decision was probably the easiest. I don't think I don't think they had a credible candidate.
What's your economic forecast for your industry and for the country in 2025? Okay,
you know how you don't predict how Trump's going to react?
Yeah.
I can't answer that question.
Okay.
I'm not smart. If I knew the answer to that question, I'd be doing something else right now. I'd be far richer than I am right now.
Who are the 3 best Celtics of all time?
Bird.
Parrish.
Bill Russell.
Bill Russell, of course, the GOAT.
Okay, but the hard one's the third. He says Parrish, but there's lots to choose from.
Bob Cousy.
Probably Cousy. But that was before my time. Oh, I saw.
Yeah, my answer's Kevin McHale, but nobody.
He was who I was going to say. I just want to say one of my favorite players, nowhere near the top 100 of all time, was Cornbread Maxwell, and I met him at the game the other day. That was a big thrill.
Yeah, he's their color guy right now on TV.
Yeah, he does the radio.
Yeah,
he was one of those players who takes up more space than they actually are big. Just had a way of spreading out.
Huge guy.
Thank you for joining. We're glad you came. And this is your first time on asking a question?
It's only my second time on this platform, but my friend, the other Dave Z from Northern California, clued me in on this platform on Halloween night. Our kids were trick-or-treating together, and I've been an avid listener ever since.
All right. Well,
usually I'm on YouTube, but today I'm on the platform.
Glad you came on. We've got Socialist Dave Z today. Dave doesn't mind me calling him Socialist. He thinks it's funny, but not capitalist David Z on. Dan, thanks for joining. Come back regularly, please.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Since I made a lame joke at his expense, let's bring him in. David Z in the house. hails from the same borough as leaders Schumer and Jeffries. Brooklyn in the house. David, welcome in. Thank you for joining. What's on your mind, sir?
As I said, I'm in Leader Jeffries' district, so he is my congressperson.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Better or worse. It's the right way to think of it. What's on your mind today, sir?
Well, first of all, I just want to shout out to my progressive brethren out there. Please heed Mark's words and raise your hand, because we've got a preponderance of Trump people on here, and we need to balance.
And also, David, just to add on to that, increasingly in American society, opinions are being formed on the two-way platform. So
of course.
we want all voices represented. So
Where
yes,
else are
in all
opinions being formed?
seriousness, and I say it every day, I know a lot of the people on here are liberal and voted for Kamala Harris and don't like Donald Trump. Raise your hand. Be loud, be proud. David.
So I just wanted to give you my quick scorecard on the Trump administration so far, which is that I've got 4 positive achievements that I like, and of course the rest is garbage. But
all right, well, let's start
trying
positive.
to be contrarian.
Appreciate that. What are the 4 things you like?
From the left, okay. Gaza, unalloyed achievement so far. Fabulous. All Trump, not Biden. Don't even start with me and give Biden any credit on this.
He loosened up the pickle.
I don't even think he loosened it. But anyway.
All right. Gaza, good.
It's history.
That's a good
it's history.
Trump will be happy to hear that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second is good signs on Ukraine, with Mr. Grinnell saying some very tough things about Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
You can forget about NATO, NATO membership anytime in the future and so forth, which suggests that there may be some agreement ahead.
Yeah.
Third thing is TikTok. Trump is the only person who said anything sensible about TikTok, as far as I'm concerned.
Which is save it by getting it away from the Chi-Coms?
Just the fact that first of all, he doesn't seem to think that it's some horrible, horrible national emergency that we have to solve to get rid of this perfectly anodyne platform, as far as I'm concerned.
It just helped get him elected.
He wants to keep it for purely personal reasons.
All right.
Because
this is a very thoughtful list. What's number 4?
And until today, I only had 3 items, but then I realized the JFK files if he follows through. I mean, it's still possible that things will be redacted and we won't get much of information. But
yeah. And
it was supposed to be released, by the way, that was supposed to be released under the JFK Records Act in 2017 under Trump, and Trump delayed it. He blames Pompeo for it. So he does have a little, I don't know, cover up ink on his hands.
David, what are the 3 worst things from your point of view he's done?
Oh God, I don't know.
J6 pardons.
J6 is bad. Immigration is bad.
What on immigration? What on immigration specifically is bad? I know you don't like the mood music of it, but what's he specifically done?
Well, everything from, I don't think that birthright citizenship is really in danger, but
that just got cut off by one court already ruled against him. By the way, breaking news: City of Providence mayor issued a statement saying that immigration officials did a raid a local establishment in the city of Newark. Newark mayor, detaining undocumented residents as well as citizens without producing a warrant. One of the detainees was a U.S. military vet who suffered the indignity of having the legitimacy of his military documentation questioned. That's from Mayor Ross Baraka, mayor of Newark, New Jersey, saying that the immigration ICE raids are happening and they're roping in and reining in and inconveniencing American citizens.
Mistakes were made.
What does Cory Booker say? Mr.
There was a
2028er? Yep.
Let's give it a look.
If it was in Providence, it would have been the mayor in the roundup.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking of Providence because Homeland Security raided a former judge's place in Providence as well, and people were wondering if they were connected. So that's why I crossed the wires there. I was thinking of Buddy Cianci, but that's a whole other.
Legend.
All right, David, give us one more thing you really don't like that he's done so far.
Well, the thing that I think is really concerns, I think should concern people the most long term is the wrecking ball that he is taking to the the agencies and the departments, because down the line, if you wreck the SEC and there's a financial crisis, who's you're responsible. And if you wreck the FDA and there's a crisis there, you're responsible. And if you wreck the CDC and there's a pandemic, again, you're responsible. So my concern would be what happens when deregulation leads to disaster.
That's good. We like alliteration. David, thank you. Always come back. We love having you on.
Thank you.
And we'll tell President Trump all the nice things he said. Megan, welcome in. Thank you for joining. Tell folks who don't know where you are and what's on your mind, please.
I'm kind of a nomad, but I'm based out of Arizona, so I'm in the sunshine right now, spreading sunshine to all of you who don't have it.
Thank you for that. Do you have any pets?
I do, but she's not here with me right now, and she's an adorable little poodle who's only 4 pounds. So next time I'm on, I'll bring her.
Okay, please do. What's on your mind this evening?
I'm just, as someone, I'm an older millennial. I'm so happy with whatever side of the aisle you're on. I'm happy with the pace of this administration.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to call it elder millennial.
Well, I was born in the mid 80s.
Okay.
So
you're happy with the pace, meaning like you like the fact that stuff's getting done for America.
Yeah, I think, I'm used to seeing government move very slowly and be quite boring and undecisive, to put it mildly. And I work in the private sector. I've worked in the private sector for a long time, but I've worked in non-governmental organizations. I've worked alongside the government. I've seen how painful it is. And I'm thrilled to see them moving more at a pace of the private sector. You're going to get things wrong sometimes. You're going to do it wrong. You're going to get pushback. Things will get messy, frankly, but keep going. I like the pace. And so I just want that out there into the world as someone who's slow.
Super interesting. I got to say, I'll put it on the table for our group here. I think they're moving faster than the private sector. You could argue for 3 days, they've literally moved faster than, except for maybe Jesse Owens, they've moved faster than anybody ever. Matt?
No, I mean, the private sector is, as our friend there in the Celtics house was talking about. I mean, there's no 3-hour meetings on a Saturday. Like these guys came in and were ready to roll. It is remarkably fast for government. And also, like, I've started picking up chatter, and it's wild to think about this. Guy was inaugurated Monday. Already feel like, okay, where's the reconciliation bill? How is this going to work? We're not even the first work week yet.
And we don't even know what they did.
No.
We haven't read all these executive orders, and more are coming out.
No. Yeah. Well, and some of the personnel stuff they're doing, they're not announcing. They're just doing it.
Yeah.
Megan, are you a Trump voter?
Yeah. So I'm actually third-time Trump voter. And for me, this is what I wanted to see the first term. And the reason why I voted for him initially was I saw cancel culture coming. I saw a lot of this postmodernist ideology back then, and it scared me then. But I really saw just a new private sector face to government who would take the executive position seriously as an executive. I didn't like him. Like I wouldn't marry Trump personally, but I would elect him to an executive position because he knows how to be an executive. And so this is what I feel like I'm finally getting as a third-time Trump voter. Is like finally he can lead as an executive.
That raises a great point, which is Donald Trump, in some respects, and yes, he lost in 2020, should thank Joe Biden for beating him in 2020 because it gave him 4 years to kind of sober up. Now, he's not a drinker, but that gave them like years in the lab. It allowed Stephen Miller to go down and mix his potions and really come out and make a difference. And it brought home to Donald Trump the importance of time, of relationships, of strategy, of tactics, of good staff. And it's just a fascinating dynamic.
Yeah. And when he said today how happy he was to be president during the 250th anniversary of the country, the Olympics and the World Cup, he said to Davos, had I won in 20, I wouldn't have been president during all these things.
Thank you, Joe Biden.
Yeah. Megan, do you like Bobby Kennedy?
Yeah, I'm very happy that President Trump embraced him when he did, which was before he got elected. And I think again, as an elder millennial, I want to see good ideas meeting at the table, and I want good ideas elevated. I don't really care who brings them. Like I just, I don't care how many, I don't care about your personal life. I just want good ideas coming to the table, and then let's elevate them. So I'm really hopeful. I hope he gets confirmed.
Matt, do you have a question for Megan?
I guess what I've been thinking about is, what do you expect? What do you want to see from someone who likes RFK, right?
Yeah.
I assume likes that he's taken over Health and Human Services. What do you hope to kind of see from a RFK-led HHS department? And I'm gonna get the puppy in 1 second. So if you don't, I'm gonna listen to your answer. Then I'm gonna go grab her out of the crate.
Okay.
Oh, right.
I think the beauty of RFK is he's poking at a beast, okay? And he's just saying, give me more data. And so what I hope is he says, I want more data about that. And let's start publishing this crap like crazy. Can we have somewhere to go easily that gives us real studies, long-term studies on these vaccines? Let him ask intelligent questions. And that's what I hope. I just hope there's more questions than even answers with him, because as American people, what's so beautiful about our country and what we've built here is you're allowed to ask a lot of questions. You don't have to be an expert to ask a question. Yeah. So I want to see more questions.
Mark, question for Megan.
At what point are you concerned that some of the things that RFK says are just kind of crazy?
I'm not concerned as an American thinking individual about what people say, because I will determine what is crazy and what is not for myself. So it's not on RFK to come up with perfect ideas. It's on me to sift through it from all the people that are sitting in front of me and to figure out what works out for me. I think American culture in general, guys, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but we own our bodies. We own our health decisions. So the more information you can present to us, even if it sounds slightly crazy or even really crazy, you can trust us to sift through it. Period.
As a reporter, I'm just sort of divided by it, because one of the only ways you can start to arrive at the truth is you have to question it.
Yes.
But at the same time, if you're always questioning it very often, or at least sometimes, you can wind up asking questions that are kind of nutty and kind of throw you off track. And
I'm not afraid of look at Elon Musk. Like, people who ask nutty questions usually get pretty far with.
That's right. That's a good point.
I am not afraid of nuttiness, and I'm not going to put it down. I think so much of the left looks at the right and they're like, man, those crazies. And we're all a little crazy. Let's be honest, me included. So that's actually unites us, but we should not be afraid. Period. We should not be afraid to ask questions.
Megan, if you and Mark have been talking for the last 2 minutes, I've been oblivious because I'm solely focused on Matt Gorman's puppy. Just kidding. Great conversation about crazy. I love the point you made, Megan. Matt, tell us a little bit more about your puppy.
This is Millie. We picked her up. She's 10 weeks old. And picked her up just about 2 weeks ago, last Saturday. She likes gnawing on people's hands and sleeping most of the day. Yeah.
So my dog just came in, so I feel dog envy.
I can't believe my dog's not here. You guys, next time
Megan,
you're gonna
come back with the dogs.
We're excited to be part of the two-way community. So thank you.
Megan, really grateful to you for joining. We hope you'll come back regularly.
For sure.
And it's good to know you won't be the fourth Mrs. Donald Trump.
I know. Thanks.
I've never heard anybody say it just that way, to establish your distance from Donald Trump, that wouldn't marry him. All right, guys, so grateful to you for joining, for bringing the dogs. Love having you both on. Of course, always love Dan having on, but really, really enjoyed it, and I hope you two will come back regularly, with the dogs or not. That's how much we love you. You don't need to bring
always
the dogs.
A pleasure. Thank you, man.
Thank you, guys. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time, guess what happens? Dan, you see him there, and I will be back. We'll be joined by a guy named Sean Spicer. Some call him Spicy Spice. Some just call him Sean. He's got a variety of names. He calls himself the sometimes angry leprechaun. Last morning meeting of the week, and then tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern time, I'll be here again for my closing show of the week. And who knows what the day will bring, because we're at the end of the first week of the Trump administration. He'll be cramming some through, and we'll certainly have stuff to say about Pete Hegseth at a minimum. So thanks for watching. Thanks to the dogs. Thanks to the great questions, including from David. And we'll see, and Dana, and we'll see everybody tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Have a good night. Oh, if you want to see more of me, I'll be on News Nation in a couple minutes, so turn over to that. Goodbye.